What's up? Brandon Lilly here. Thank you guys for submitting your questions to lillytraining@yahoo.com. That's Lilly training@yahoo.com. So if you guys have questions, please keep submitting those. I'm going to do one question a day. That way I can hopefully do a reasonable amount of justice to the question being asked rather than trying to do multiple questions at a time. The question for today, I think, hits a lot of younger lifters and maybe even some older lifters, but the question of staying natural or going enhanced, and by enhanced I mean using steroids or other performance enhancing drugs. And the reality of it is it's a personal choice. There's a lot of politics behind this question, and that's one of the things that I think gets lost on a lot of people. They just look at it as, oh, it's illegal, it's terrible, it's yada yada yada. Well, the way I've always looked at it is, what if you were in a country where steroids or pro-hormones or any performance enhancing drug wasn't as taboo as it is here in the United States, such as Mexico. I was recently down there, and you could walk into basically any pharmacy. You could purchase these drugs over the counter, just like any other pharmaceutical. I mean, I think the only pharmaceuticals that they had on restriction were antibiotics, but you could pretty much get this. And I didn't see a lot of overly jacked individuals walking around. It's kind of funny to me that they act like if these things were available to us, that everybody would get on them and everybody would be abusing their body and this, that, and the other. And I think if you do educated research, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, hey, these drugs are safe. Hell, vitamin C is toxic in a high enough dose. So anything that you do, you have to be intelligent about it. You don't have to, but I suggest that you research it and you really understand what you're doing. One of the things that I want to point out to you guys that was made very clear to me, and I had never thought about it until this was presented to me, and it made a lot of sense. The internet is a great source of information. There are tons of websites with tons of information on the good, the bad, the ugly of steroid use. And one of the things that I want to point out to you is a lot of these places will give you dose suggestions, okay? And especially on message boards, you're going to see people giving their dose suggestions. Let's say John Doe steroid user is buying his drugs from somebody who makes their steroids. Well, let's say user B is getting a pharmaceutical grade steroid. Pharmaceutical grade is going to be much higher quality, much more accurate as far as dosing goes, whereas user A might be getting something that's cut. If it says 250 milligrams on the bottle, it might be 150 milligrams, it might be 100, it might be 200. But in essence, they're going to have to take more of that drug to get the actual result that would be yielded from the same amount from a pharmaceutical. So let's say it's 125 just for simple math. Now, to get the same result as 250 milligrams of pharmaceutical, he has to take 2 shots of the other because it's dosed at half from a home brew. So now, instead of saying, well, I'm taking 250 milligrams, he's actually reporting that he's taking 500 milligrams. So what's actually happening and what he's reporting to the internet gets exaggerated, even on a small scale like that. So imagine if that scale gets bumped up to 1,000 milligrams. Now he's reporting that he's taking 2,000 milligrams. And I think a lot of these dosages got exaggerated on the internet for that purpose. The body can only process so much of what you put into it. It's like, if you just use the example of water. Imagine if you sit and drink a half a gallon of water in 10 minutes, you're going to start expelling water pretty rapidly. Now, if you drink that same half a gallon of water over the course of a day, you're going to pee pretty regularly. You're going to go to the bathroom as you normally would. So that's what you have to think about. The body can only use so much. So use your brain. If you do make the choice to go over to the, we call it the dark side. If you do make that choice, then be conscious. Don't just use what somebody else tells you to do. Start low and kind of use that until it stops working or you stop seeing the results that are desired, and then slowly add in. I think it's a terrible, terrible mistake for somebody to just look at you like they're some kind of physician or expert and say, look, you automatically got to take X amount of milligrams of this and this and this and this and this, when they've really not even experienced, a low dosage of just one, performance enhancer. So just be conscious of that when you're taking when you're making that choice. Now, the other thing for me, I think it's ridiculous that 7 items that I used to buy at GNC are now considered illegal. So if I was a guy that was sitting on the fence, or sitting on the side of wanting to be natural or remain natural, one day I'm taking this supplement and it's okay, and the next day I'm no longer considered natural because I'm using a banned substance. It's ridiculous. It's just politics. It's people that don't necessarily have all the information making decisions. And if you've seen Bigger, Stronger, Faster, I think Chris Bell did an awesome job talking about, with an unbiased opinion. I mean, he was really looking for good answers, and he did so the best that he could, and he presented the information in a way that I thought was fair. But if you see that movie, you're going to see just how uninformed a lot of these politicians that make these choices for us really are. I mean, for one example, the guy from that was the head of the steroid committee on baseball, he didn't even know what the legal drinking and smoking age was nationally. 18 and 21 years old. He didn't know that. So if he doesn't know something like that, how is he expected to know the in-depth ins and outs of a steroid or something like that? But the last thing that I want to say about this, steroids, people talk about them and they think, oh, steroids make you strong, make you strong, make you strong, or they make you fast or whatever. If that was the case, then the person who took the most would win. Something that was pointed out to me a few years back that made so much sense is really that steroids don't so much make you stronger or faster, they facilitate recovery to allow you to do those things. If you take steroids, you're not going to get stronger just because you're on this drug. You're going to get fat if you do nothing. So if you have a couple people using steroids, and one is eating fast food and training a little bit and staying up all night playing video games or partying or whatever, he's not going to get the same results as somebody who is taking steroids, getting 6 to 10 hours of sleep per night and eating 6 to 7 high quality balanced meals per day, day in and day out. The steroids make whatever you do better. So whatever you are, if you train half-ass and you're on steroids, you're going to get a little bit better. If you, are pushing really, really hard and you're doing all the things right and you're taking steroids, it's going to make you better. So if you're somebody who's sitting on the fence and you want to know the truth about it, yes, steroids will make you a better version of what you are. Are they going to turn you into a top-level bodybuilder or a top-level powerlifter overnight? No. It's the things you do in addition to those things that are going to make you better. So it's just another piece of the arsenal. I wouldn't say that if you're struggling as a powerlifter and you want to get to the next level, think about it, look into the whys and why nots, but don't think that it's going to make you something that you're not already. For example, I was accused of being on steroids when I was doing competitions with NASA. My very first competition, it was a raw competition. I squatted 630, bench 440, and pulled 670 at 219 pounds at 19 years old. Had a 1,770 total with knee wraps, and that was, 13 years ago. And people started accusing me of being on steroids, and the truth of the matter is, I wasn't on steroids. At that time, I wasn't even allowed to be on protein, creatine, anything like that. My dad was just a believer in whole foods. He said, if you can't get it from food, you don't need it in your body. So, that was a reason that it angered me. A lot of people started accusing me of this and accusing me of that, and it's just because they didn't understand. Now, I don't think that I would be at the level that I am today were it not for the point that I started at. I started out at a fairly decent level of powerlifting, and I was able to achieve more and more and more as time went on. So, just weigh out the options. There are definitely health risks to it. Do I think it's going to kill you? No. Do I think you can take it responsibly? Yes. Do I think you can take it recklessly? Yes. just be informed about what you're doing. Make conscious decisions. It's not a one stop save all for all your problems, related to lifting or muscle growth. You're going to have to work your ass off. I don't care what these people say, that it's 98% of everything that you ever do. If that was the case, then everybody would be a champion that takes them, and that's definitely not the case. You just have to be intelligent about it and work hard. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.